Right. One, two, three. Okay, it's on. Hi, Kanika. What a lovely Saturday morning.
Hi,
In
Shri. Yes, indeed.
in Auroville it's raining, so it's been a pleasant morning. And I've been reading about your Nirnay project that you shared me the last week. What an
Uh,
amazing project to make an impact. But I was very curious when I read about it. What's your association with tier two, tier three? Because I resonate a lot with that. Because I was born in a small town. I don't have an IIT degree, but I do have the need to climb the corporate ladder. And when I was reading about your Nirnai as a project that you and Rohit are conceptualizing, uh, it gave me a bit of goosebumps. Oh wow, that sounds very interesting. But I was very curious to hear from you as a thought partner. What's your dream? And I guess you have impacted already 500,000 students in the project, right? So
yes.
very curious to know what was the genesis and what's your offering and what's your dream.
Okay, hi, Shri. This morning, I think, is like very inspiring for me, especially when I think about Nirnay, because, yeah, I completely agree with you. Coming from a tier two, tier three city, it actually makes that kind of um, kind of a passion that you need to do something for the students, because I myself, I grew up in a small town, and didn't, although I aspired to go to IIMs, but that competitive part was like too much for me, and I just did it from a decent school, but then, yeah, not IIMs. So uh, I do get the pain of that, because we have that fire, we have that passion. And I think there's a lot of grounding that exists in the tier two, tier three cities, the people there, because we tend to experience the life up close. The things that many big city people, or the tier one cities, or school people are not really able to experience a lot, what we tend to experience in terms of the lack, the abundance, the groundedness, the family values, the community values, etc., which I think is very huge. And I see that in the world of AI, we need some of those humanizing values very importantly, which is crucial for every industry and the business per se. So that is what has been the inspiration. And the dream is to really have that opportunity for every student in this country, in our country, India, where Bharat, where everybody is having that opportunity to uh, live to their caliber, live the inspiration that exists within them, the values that we've seen growing up with our grandparents, with a beautiful close knit family, the values that are very grounded, humble, yet very, very potent for a enormous growth, enormous value. So holding those paradoxes is something that we know very well. So yeah, that's the
Yeah,
dream and that's the passion.
beautiful. I mean, it's always inspiring to hear, Kanika. And I personally know you, so I know your background with Gallup and your experience coaching senior leaders and international leaders. But what comes alive when I am listening to you, and I'm going back 25, 30 years back in my own career,
Mm,
and I have maybe one or two specific question to see how would your program solve that for the
yeah.
students or upcoming aspirants, right? So one of my personal challenge being in a small town. So for example, I'm a small town temple boy, right? And one of the culture I had to break was I used to go to the temple in the morning time, and the temple would say, yeah, the first puja is at 6:30. The actual puja was not at 6:30, it would be 6:25, could be 6:35, or could be 6:45 or at 7, based on Tithi, based on, so a lot of context. Or I was in Kerala, so we have a lot of rituals, right? So if a baby boy comes, unknowingly does a susu in the temple. They have to do the puja again, so everything gets delayed. So it's very contextual. There is nothing called fixed. So for 20 years of my life, I lived in a everything movable, everything adjustable. And then when I came to the corporate, meeting starts on 9. I got to be there at 8:45 or 8:55, 5 minutes before, right? But be prepared, right? It was a big adjustment. It took a long time to kind of say, okay, this is what I need to readjust. Similarly, drawing the boundaries, right? Because we grew up in a very large family. So there was no question of no, right? It's like everything is a yes. Let's try it. Let's make it happen, right? It was almost like a great positivity for a small town because that's how we have grown up. But in a corporate, you've got to learn to say no, right? Similarly, my other thoughts alive was learning to draw the line, right? Hey, this is my boundary, this is your boundary, right? Otherwise, so again, I'm not looking for answers for all, but I was looking at your flavor of thoughts around how would someone who might have gone through some of the experience that I just shared in a smaller town, right? It's not that we are not capable, but we don't have enough exposure in the early days, even to go talk to the opposite sex, right? Like we don't even know how to greet because it's small town. You're like, oh, girls that side, boys this side, right? But in the corporate, that's not how it works. You got to shake hands. You got to know whom to go talk, right? So I'm just giving you a flavor of a living experience of a tier 2 boy or a tier 3 boy. I was born in Thrissur, so tier 3 maybe, or a 4. So I was curious to hear what comes alive when you hear some of these.
I mean, when I really listen to you, what becomes very alive in me is my own journey over the years, right? When coming from a small town, I went to Delhi and, was actually, that is where my Karam Bhumi is, where I've actually worked all my life. And so I see that and I completely agree with, some of the values some of the timelines that we've heard based on what has been our immediate context. And now the context has shifted, the values have shifted, the rules have shifted, and they're completely new. Now, while you're expected to know all of that, it's like, for me, when I moved there, it just felt like I'm in my own country, but something is different, right? It's a whole new world where you need to really understand and all over again kind of learn, understand, and be present, aligned with all of what is expected from you, right? And expected at different levels. And when you're starting off, it becomes even more crucial because you got to prove that mark. So I saw myself really struggling between knowing it while also wanting to admit and willing to learn, right? So there's a balance, holding a paradox. Yes, I know a part of it, but there's something that was done. I don't know why it was done, right? And working with MNCs from the very beginning, like I started my career with Citibank, and knowing the banking nuances and knowing how different things, and all of my seniors and bosses were really coming from these big names like FMSs and different other business schools, etc. And I was still a graduate from a small town. So it was like very interesting how one needs to really balance all of that. I see a lot needs to shift within, and that's where you spoke about Nirnay, but I also see that's where Align came from as well. Which also you are a part of, right? So which is a cohort that we are starting to really reflect on where your relationships, where your workplace ethos is really coming from, who you have become over the years. And what needs to shift now? What is expected of you as contextual intelligence for you to be successful in the next level of your life? So that becomes very alive for me in terms of my own experiences.
Beautiful. Amazing. When is the official launch for the program, Kanika?
The Align?
Yeah,
Or
I mean, not align. You are
live?
Nirnay as a go live. Like, what's your timeline? So you are in beta now.
Yes, so Align goes live on 3rd of June, and that's a cohort with a maximum space for 20 people. We already have 12 registered and paid beta participants, and we have another 8 to go. Probably, if we feel that the cohort is good where it is, may close at about 16. So it goes live on 3rd June. We meet every Wednesday, weekly online for an opening session plus 12 sessions, which is going to be a good mix of exploring oneself, reflecting on where one is, and then also integrating that with practicals
Beautiful,
for the weeks.
beautiful. And if one of the tier 3, tier 4 like me,
Yeah.
who's in the younger self, listens to this conversation, is there one advice that you would want to share?
Okay, so no advice. But yes,
Or
what
share?
what I can share for sure is that and coming from a very humble space and with a lot of humility, that there are a lot of things that we experience in our life. We are not aware of what is happening in the context that we are immediately present to, um, uh, and that's okay. And it's okay to really and I see the Gen Z is really well placed, because they're okay to say that they don't know, and they're okay to say that I'm willing to learn, and they're okay. They understand their boundaries. But I think with our age group, who are now in their perhaps the senior leadership positions and probably have lived 40-50 lives of 40-50 years of our lives, it becomes important because we've lived with a lot of claustrophobia. There's
Yeah.
like we've had to adjust in that kind of space. So I really keep telling, I hear myself saying that it's okay to not know. It's okay to try to fit in. It's just become aware that you're trying to fit into this space which is new for you, and some of these things have lingered on far too long, maybe 4 decades or 5 decades in our life, and now is the time when we really reflect back on them, and it's okay to now integrate that part of our life into who we are becoming. And with that learning and with that not knowing space, to really move forward and consciously unfold our own life to what it is meant to be, to what the purpose of our life and soul is to be. So I think that's what I keep telling myself. It's okay, the failures. It's okay not knowing. It's okay trying to fit in. It's okay trying too hard. It's okay having had certain bad moments in personal relationships, professional relationships, at work, and I'm not understanding certain relationships. For me personally, sometimes I found myself challenged in understanding my relationship with authority. I've seen many of my coaches going through with that, where they think the outside world is a trigger, but it is our inner ability and capacity. And we were talking about it a minute ago when we started our conversation sometime early this morning, that there was somebody who was going through this, that they did not have that capacity and were not aware of that capacity. So I keep telling myself that more often.
Got it. Thank you so much. And my last question for the day. So, is this the first video of I don't know, Sage Kohli or Sage Kanika? What's going to come out and where?
So there's a devil in Sage always. So it's like in the 5 feet body, both the devil and Sage both live. So I don't know which part of it spoke and where is it coming from. I'm yet to put that finger on that. But yes, this is the first video, very impromptu. We were just having a conversation and we came up with this idea, and here we are recording this, and it's fun that way. Thank you, Shri.
Great. Excellent. Let me stop the recording. All right.